So we're a few games into the 2018 season, which means we've got almost a season's worth of starts from Mitchell Trubisky. And the early returns are mixed, to say the least. And I don't think anybody can sit there and pretend that they're not. But the real question for Bears fans specifically, and maybe the Bears organization as well, is it time to worry about Mitchell Trubisky? I'm going to try and address this here. And I'll start off by focusing on some of the good things about him and the situation. He's only 15 starts into his NFL career. 3 of them under an offensive coach that kind of knows what the hell he's doing, as opposed to his rookie season, which was a lost season under John Fox and Dowell Loggins. Who's going to look good there, honestly? So you're only 3 games into what I really truly classify as his true rookie season. Only 15 starts, period. So right around 1 full season's worth of a body of work, combined with the fact that the kid only had 1 season as a starter at North Carolina. This is still a very raw, very inexperienced quarterback. When you take a guy like Trubisky, you know that it might not be until year 4, year 5 potentially where you can truly start to get the fruits of the labor and the patience and the work that's put in. Because he was a project. He absolutely was. So there's still a long ways to go. I will say one of the positives after 8 years of the Jay Cutler experience, where you knew one thing about him was he wasn't going to make it through a 16-game season. Trubisky's had 0 injuries of note. He's missed 0 games. That's a good thing. An important skill, if you want to call it that, for a young quarterback to have for his team is the ability of availability. And at least Trubisky can be counted on to be in the lineup as of right now, week in and week out. You look at his completion percentage this year, he's completing 69.2% of his passes. You can talk about dink and dunking, you can talk about lots of short, easy throws, but he's still completing almost 70% of his passes. So that's a good thing. A guy that was relatively accurate at Carolina, and I thought that was one of his strengths coming into the league, he's showing that at times. And he's completing almost 70% of his passes. You could do a lot worse than that. And there are guys in the league that get praised, even though they're not very good, because they complete a high percentage of passes, even though a lot of their throws are short throws, quick reads, and checkdowns. He is a decent athlete who can get yards with his feet. He can extend plays. He can improvise. He can get 8 yards on 3rd and 7 with his feet. So as a defense, you have to prepare for that too. The kid's a decent athlete. He can move. And you like to have that out of a modern NFL quarterback if possible. You want a guy that can beat you in a variety of different ways. And Trubisky can do some damage with his feet. I also look at this situation he's in with Matt Nagy and Mark Helfrich. It certainly is much better than John Fox and Dowell Loggins. As I referenced, we're only 3 games through this experience. And there's still a lot of ways to go and trying to overcome the disaster that was last year and throwing a rookie quarterback into that bad situation. So I'm still, for the time being, going to give Nagy and Helfrich the benefit of the doubt. And even with some of the struggles that Trubisky has had, and we all know they're there, you can't pretend that they're not there, this team is still 2-1, despite some of his struggles. So you're putting Trubisky in a situation where he knows that he doesn't have to be perfect and his team can still win. That's a good place to be. He knows that other parts of his team, notably the defense, can pick him up when things aren't going so well. That's a nice situation for a young quarterback to be in. He can kind of figure it out as he goes without having to worry about, hey, one mistake is going to cost us the game. That's not necessarily the case. You want to be in a situation where you can make mistakes. You can make 100 mistakes once. You just don't want to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. Trubisky's in a situation where he can be afforded to make some different mistakes and it not cost his team too badly. So there are good things, but there's definitely bad. You look at those 15 starts, 12 touchdowns total between the 9 passing, the 3 rushing, I believe it is, and 15 total turnovers through 15 starts. So he's averaging a turnover a game. He's a bit fumble prone at times. That's not good. Now, you can expect that sometimes out of young quarterbacks, but there are young quarterbacks that come into the league and don't end up being turnover machines from day number one. I don't want to quite call Trubisky a turnover machine from day number one, but it's not looking good early on. He only has one 300-yard passing game in his career, and that was last year, late in the year against the Lions, and it was a lot of those yards in garbage time. He had, 8 under 200-yard passing games this season. He's got one this year. No games over 220 yards passing this season. When you trade up from 3 to 2 to take a quarterback over other quarterbacks that were drafted in a similar range, you don't want to be looking at a guy that you're afraid of letting go a little bit because he might cost you the game. And you don't want him to be a game manager ultimately, because based off of the turnover numbers, he's not managing any games for you. You want him to be able to make big plays. And the fact is, maybe the play calling is the way it is for a certain reason because the kid's just not ready yet. And you can chalk that up to lack of experience, what have you, but at some point in time, you've got to be able to take the governor off a little bit. You've got to be able to let the leash loose a little bit, and you got to let the kid go. And there might be a reason that they're not letting him go because he might not be ready or he might not be that capable. And that is kind of concerning. Only 5.68 yards per attempt. That's not good. That gives you an indication of just how many short passes, dink and dunks that he hits in the course of a game. And while you could say, well, you kind of manage the game and you don't put the ball at risk a lot, but he's turning the ball over too. So you're turning the ball over and you're taking a lot of, frankly, conservative chicken shit throws. Not a good combination. Also, 40 sacks in his career, 9 through 3 games this year. Now, obviously, that's not entirely solely on him. That's somewhat on the offensive line. But that is also concerning from how many of those sacks and hits are he taking because of him and his lack of ability to read the defense and where the pressure is coming from and feel it and move around, but also the blocking, and also talking about Trubisky not being the biggest guy in the world. How many times can he take those sacks, take those hits before one of them's going to catch up with him a little bit? It's a fair question. And unfortunately, there's quite a bit of ugly right now, too. Like, it's really ugly having to watch Patrick Mahomes absolutely wreck the damn league. Mahomes, who has 13 touchdown passes through the first 3 games of the 2018 season. That's an NFL record. He has more touchdown passes in 3 games than Trubisky has in his entire career, 13-9. So it's not even like he's one behind. He's several behind. And yes, you could talk about last season. You could talk about the lack of talent there. But the talent around him is better this year. And it doesn't look that much better. And when you're sitting there and saying, somebody like me, like, oh, if you were going to do that for a quarterback, you should have just stayed put at 3 and taken Mahomes because he was the better talent. He had the bigger arm talent. He had more upside. And then you see freaking Mahomes from that same draft class absolutely wreck shit. And you come and there's Trubisky. That's ugly. That's ugly, no matter how you want to spin it. And for me, what really concerns me, the biggest concerns I had about him in college are still manifesting in the league. And I don't see any progression or any improvement or where he's gotten better at all. You could talk about lack of experience and this and that, but you would hope to see some slow, steady progression somewhere, and I'm not seeing it anywhere. His lack of field vision leads to too many missed throws, too many missed opportunities. I've called him Mitchell Zoolander because of his lack of ability to turn left and throw to the left. He's fighting against Rick Myers syndrome. And you could talk about, well, he's had some throws to the left that were successful. The touchdown pass to Anthony Miller is one of them. When the play is literally designed there and that's the only place he's supposed to look, that's different. The guy struggles throwing to the left. He struggles going through his progressions and looking to the left and going there. And in general, he's just not seeing the field well, and he's not moving his eyes very well as the play goes along. He's not moving safeties. He's not going through his progressions nearly as quickly and efficiently as he needs to. You saw the big still image from week 1, and some of the Trubisky lovers tried to spin it and say, well, if he would have thrown that, Clinton Dix would have picked it off. But if he would have seen it before the actual still image, Burton is coming open and Clinton Dix is over here. So if he kind of hits throws it to Trey Burton while Burton is still on the move. I think it was Trey Burton, whatever. It's a touchdown. And he's missing throws like that. Also, his lack of poise and feel within the pocket is incredibly concerning to me because that's one of those sometimes natural, innate things. It comes with confidence. It comes with feel and instincts for the game. And you can only coach that so much. That's one of those intangible type of things to a degree that you either have or you don't. And he didn't really have it at North Carolina. And he's clearly showing in Chicago so far that he might not have it either. He gets panicked way too quickly, way too frequently, way too consistently. He will start moving around in the pocket. He'll break down the integrity of his protection. He'll take some unneeded hits and unneeded sacks because he didn't just sit there and calm his ass down, or perhaps move up slowly within the pocket, left, right, up, down. There's not much subtlety to his pocket movement. So what really concerns me is he has a bad habit of turning his back to the defense to bail out of the pocket the first time he feels any heat whatsoever. If you're a Bears fan, that should sound familiar. That was Rex Grossman. And also to me, what's concerning is if he makes mistakes early, he struggles to recover. And I'm going to pull up my scouting report from Trubisky back in 2017. And among other things, I talked about the field vision. Not much experience making own side adjustments at line of scrimmage, has trouble recognizing what he sees from defense, sometimes a second slow to act on what he sees. Sounds pretty accurate to 2 seasons later. Pocket presence, sometimes too quick to bail out of the pocket. Bad habit of turning back to scramble out of the pocket. Needs to learn to move up in the pocket more consistently. This is almost prophetic type crap. That this stuff that was major concern for me about him coming out of North Carolina is still there and it hasn't gotten any better. And then the last one. Early struggles and turnovers can leave him rattled. Early struggles and turnovers can leave him rattled. And it's true. If he makes mistakes early, he's demonstrated that it's hard for him to get his confidence back, that he can't go out there like a true gunslinger and just keep letting it rip. It feels like early on, if he's not really good, it's going to be really bad. Kind of like Jay Cutler. So when you look at some of the things I've just talked about in the ugly category, I've invoked the names of Rick Meyer, Rex Grossman, Jay Cutler. Rick Meyer, that they traded a first-round pick for in 1997, a first-round pick that could have been potentially used on somebody like, Tony fucking Gonzalez. Rex Grossman, that they sunk a first-round pick into in 2003, and we know how that went. And Jay Cutler, who they technically sunk 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Kyle Orton into in 2009. The history's not good, and for Bears fans, I'm sorry, it's a little hard to be super patient when you feel like you're seeing the same formula that you see time after time after time. Very good defense, running game, inept quarterback play at times that ultimately holds you back from your full potential and realizing the ultimate dream, which is winning another damn Lombardi trophy. And sure, you're going to have those pro-Trubisky cats that try to sit there and spin this and try to make it it's puppies and sunshine and flowers and beer and all this other crap. Give me a fucking break. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit positive, like I talked about with some of the good things. There are reasons to not totally, completely panic yet. But to pretend like you shouldn't be a little concerned or a little worried is completely disingenuous in my opinion. You're not fooling me, so you might as well stop lying to yourself. Now, there's nothing saying that Trubisky can't progress and develop and get better and at least become a solid NFL starting quarterback. There is still time. And the Bears have got to hope to God that he is. But if you're asking me based off of the early returns, when I see other guys early and some of the things they can do, and you're going to bring up the Jared Goff example, well, look at what Jared Goff was doing as soon as he got into year number 2. And he only had, 7 or 8 starts in his rookie season, and he was under a bad system with Jeff Fisher. You're not seeing it with Trubisky. I'm not seeing the growth, progression, and development. And that's what's got me worried and concerned. Panicked? Not yet. When we get to the end of the season and it's a lot of the same thing, you're damn right I'm going to be panicking.